You suspected it before these words reached you, but now the shape is clear. Something in you crossed a line most never notice. Not a doorway with candles and vows, not a medal, an audit, quiet, ongoing, relentless in its compassion. You were watched, not for performance, but for stability. The field did not care how loud you declared your purpose. It listened for whether your tone held when life pressed on the weak points. That is the true assessment. It does not grant status. It confers responsibility. You were not asked for clever answers. You were shown friction, late trains, bent plans, people who forgot or remembered at the worst time. The audit wanted to know one thing. When waves stack, does your signal fog or stay clean enough to steer? Not perfectly, consistently enough to correct. That is crossing the threshold. It is less about breakthrough and more about bandwidth. You carry more current without burning the circuit. The popular story is different. It says there is a moment where you win the secret password and reality throws you a parade. But parades fade. What remains is how you move when no one is looking. The field watches that pace. It checks for coherence under load. It asks, can you be entrusted with influence that touches more than your preferences? Influence amplifies whatever you are. In unsteady hands, it makes noise. In steady hands, it becomes song. This is why the audit is subtle. It arrives as small choices that look forgettable. You are betrayed. Do you build a shrine to the bruised story or repair the bridge inside your chest? You are unseen. Do you poison your work with resentment or keep the line clear? You are right. Do you weaponize that or convert it into care? Each micro-act trains the instrument. The instrument is you. You did not pass by avoiding pain. Avoidance narrows bandwidth. You increased your range by meeting what came and letting it move. It was not stoicism, it was skill. You learned to call crisis by another name, compression. Compression tests geometry. Under compression you found where your structure buckled. You strengthened those joints. The audit noted that. The field adjusts around such notes. This crossing is not a prize, it is an assignment. Power is not a glow stick a child waves at night. It is a voltage that can scorch or heal. The audit ensures you do not scorch. So your next chapter is not get more. It is hold clean while more moves through. That shift reframes everything. You are less interested in the costume of power and more in its hygiene. You care less about attention and more about signal quality. Signal quality begins in the body, not the abstract body, the immediate one. Jaw, belly, throat. If there is grit in these places, the field reads static. Static distorts instructions. You learn to clean it in real time. A breath that drops your shoulders 1 degree. A pause before reply. A hand placed over your ribs to widen the cage. Each is small. Together they keep the tuner aligned. The audit lives in those moments. It is not mystical. It is maintenance. You will notice how the world markers feel different now. Winning no longer tastes like triumph. It tastes like quiet fit. Losing, when honest, feels like clean air. The old chase loses flavor because you do not need the hit. Your system prefers the steady burn. That steady burn is coherence. It is the difference between a firework and a lighthouse. One dazzles, one guides. The field trusts lighthouses. They do not advertise. They are there when storms arrive. That is the kind of influence you are being handed. Your presence will begin to carry more weight than your arguments. Rooms will steady faster. People will breathe more easily around you and not know why. You will know. You will have trained for it in 1,000 unremarkable choices. The audit noticed. It always does. You may ask, who authorized this audit? No committee, no temple. Reality itself maintains its own safety protocols. It seeks coherence because coherence reduces waste. Waste is suffering extended by noise. When your signal reduces noise, you are given more signal to manage, not because you deserve it, but because the system is efficient. The universe is not sentimental about this. It is precise. Its roots flow through the cleanest channels available. You have become a cleaner channel, so let the crossing change your posture, not your branding, your posture. Sit as if guidance could land because it can. Speak as if words lay track because they do. Move as if timing is a partner because it is. Your task is simple. though not easy. Keep your tone honest when nothing external insists on honesty. Keep your breath wide when pressure narrows the room. Keep your hands open when the old reflex wants to clench. If you do that, the assignment expands itself. The field will provide scope and companions. It will remove what jams the line. It will ask more of you and give you more to hold it. You will feel the load increase and the effort decrease. That is the signature of clean power. It does not strain, it carries. It does not shout, it clarifies. You crossed the threshold when you became willing to live that way in private. Now the world will feel it in public. The audit will continue, of course, not as suspicion, as care. It will keep you accurate. You are not finished. You are trusted enough to start. That is the meaning of this message. Not flattery, responsibility. And responsibility, in this frame, is not grim. It is relief. You no longer have to pretend. You only have to remain clear. What moves the needle now is not fresh information. It is the tone you carry while you move. The field does not weigh trivia. It reads the shape of your state. Knowledge is paint. Frequency is the canvas. If the canvas is damp, the most brilliant pigment runs. When the canvas is primed, even a plain color looks inevitable. That is why you feel less hunger to stack facts. You are learning to prime the canvas first. Shift lens. Most people treat life like a quiz. Gather answers, recite them quickly, hope the teacher is impressed. But the field is not a teacher with a red pen. It is an environment that roots flow toward what can hold it. It prefers signal that stays stable over speech that sparkles. Your transformation has been the slow work of making your tone consistent enough to trust. Not perfect, trustworthy. Consider the tuning fork. Strike it, and the room begins to hum with the same note. You can read a book about resonance, or you can become the fork. One of those options changes the room. The other changes your vocabulary. Stewardship means you choose the first more often. You take care of the tone you emit because you understand what it does to the space you share. From push to pulse. Before, you may have tried to convince reality. Affirm harder, visualize brighter, add volume. That is push. Pulse works differently. You set a rhythm your body can keep. You return to it until the room recognizes it as the default. The pulse you repeat becomes the pattern the world uses to arrange itself around you. People call it luck. You know it as maintenance. Stewardship begins with small permissions that scale. Wake and check the meter, not your inbox, your meter. Where is your center of gravity today? High in the chest, heavy in the hips, dry in the mouth. These are not random sensations. They are readouts of your signal quality. Drink water, and it changes. Step outside, and it changes. Place attention on the soles of your feet, and it changes. You are not fixing yourself. You are clearing the line. Diagnostic to directive. When friction appears, instead of asking, "What does this say about me?" ask, "What does the field need from me to stay clear?" It might ask for one honest word you are avoiding. It might ask for 10 minutes of quiet before you reply. It might ask for sleep before strategy. The directive is usually simple. You know it by how your muscles exhale when you choose it. Clean signal has two pillars: congruence and care. Congruence is alignment between what you value, what you say, and what you do. Care is how you hold yourself while you attempt congruence. Without congruence, you leak power. Without care, you grind. Together, they produce authority that does not need a microphone. People hear it as safety. Field note: you will notice how conversations shift when your tone is clean. Someone begins with complaint. You resist the urge to fix or join. You stay steady in the body. You ask one exact question. The whole story pivots. Not because you were clever, but because your signal made a narrow bridge of attention. The other person crossed without slipping. This is influence without theater. Texture check. Your choices have feel, heavy, sticky, grainy, light, smooth, warm. Learn those textures, and you can choose the path that carries fewer snags. This is not superstition. It is pattern literacy. When you ignore the feel, repairs cost time. When you obey it, you save energy for what matters. Return to body. Stewardship is physical. Clean your jaw before you clean your calendar. If your teeth touch while you plan, the plan will carry tension. Unhook the tongue from the roof of the mouth. Let your eyes rest on the horizon, not the phone. Sit so the back of your heart has space. These are minor adjustments with outsized effects. They restore bandwidth. They make you easier to root through. Information still matters. It helps you name what you sense, but it is secondary. You can memorize principles and still broadcast scarcity. You can forget the lingo and still radiate sufficiency. The field responds to the broadcast. Learn anything you want, but do not bargain with knowledge for power. Power follows care. Care produces clarity. Clarity carries farther than noise. Orchestration cue. As your signal cleans, timing will improve. The bus you used to miss arrives when you do. The person you needed to meet sits beside you. The text you were about to send shows up from the other side. Do not make a shrine of it. Treat it like healthy logistics. Thank it. Keep your pace. Let it normalize. Here is a simple practice that raises tone without strain. Pick one commitment for 72 hours. Speak the truth in shorter sentences. Not blunt, clean. One idea per line. Let silence finish your point. This reduces distortion. TTS note for your own speech. Fewer commas, more periods. Breath equals clarity. Clarity equals range. The paradox is this. The less you perform for the field, the more the field acts on your behalf. Performance says, notice me. Stewardship says, let me hold this well. The first consumes fuel. The second generates it. You will feel the difference in your nervous system. One jangles, one settles. You are becoming someone whose presence edits rooms. That begins with editing your own internal noise. Turn down the commentary. Turn up the listening. Keep the channel open. The world does not need another expert with a tired signal. It needs stable transmitters who can receive and relay without personal static. You are training for that by how you wash dishes, how you close tabs, how you end a call. Ordinary acts, precise tone. When in doubt, choose moves that make you more available. To your body, to the moment, to the people in front of you. Availability is a frequency. It invites intelligence to land. Once it lands, information becomes useful again because you are a steady surface. This is the quiet privilege of stewardship. You become simple enough for the complex to trust you. Pain was not the punishment. It was the instrument. Delay was not denial. It was pacing. Loss was not a verdict. It was a subtraction that revealed the shape underneath. Calibration often arrives dressed as friction because contrast teaches faster than comfort. You did not fail because it hurt. You grew because you stayed present long enough to read what the ache was asking for. Shift lens. Imagine a kiln. Clay goes in while it still remembers water. Heat removes what the form cannot carry into use. If the temperature spikes too fast, the piece cracks. If it stays cool, the piece never sets. Your seasons of heat were not random fires. They were controlled burns that set your structure, not gentle, precise. The field uses contrast for measurement. It is hard to measure a bridge on a windless day. You learn its integrity when gusts arrive. The same with you. Pressure revealed which parts collapsed into old reflex and which parts held alignment. That is valuable data, not shame, data. Each time you caught yourself bracing, you located a joint that needed reinforcement. Each time you softened without collapsing, you widened capacity. Diagnostic to directive. When pain rises, most minds ask, how do I end this? A cleaner question is, what setting is this asking me to adjust? Volume, pace, boundary, expectation. Sometimes the adjustment is angle, not effort. Turn the lens 2 degrees and the image sharpens. You did not need a new life. You needed a new stance inside this one. Field note, grief is often mislabeled as failure. You cared. The thing ended. Your nervous system, skilled at pattern protection, flags the whole category as unsafe. This is where capacity narrows. Coherence does not require you to love less. It asks you to learn the difference between holding and clinging. Holding lets energy circulate. Clinging suffocates the signal. The body knows the difference. One breathes, one does not. From push to pulse, do not outrun pain. Pace it. Set a rhythm your system can keep. This practice is simple and specific. Try it for 7 days and watch the texture of your days change. Return to body practice. 3 anchors, 3 minutes. Anchor 1. Feet. Stand or sit. Place attention in the soles. Spread the toes inside your shoes. Feel weight distribute from heel to ball. Spend 60 seconds here. The field of attention widens. Anchor 2. Breath. Inhale through the nose for a slow count of 4. Pause for 1. Exhale through the mouth for 5. Let the jaw fall. Repeat 6 cycles. If thoughts rush, let them ride the exhale out. Anchor 3. Orientation. Let your eyes name 5 real objects in the room. A chair, a wall, a plant, a mug, a window. Name them without comment. This reintroduces the prefrontal cortex and lowers alarm. Done. 3 minutes. Ceiling on effort. Floor under you again. Why this works? Pain compresses awareness into a tunnel. Anchors widen the tunnel without telling a story. Wider awareness spreads the load. When the load spreads, the signal clears. When the signal clears, intelligence can land. Then you can take the next exact step instead of fighting the whole mountain. Texture check. You can feel when a choice tightens the jaw, heats the face, or drops the stomach. That is not superstition. It is instrument reading. Your system reports on integrity in real time. A yes that contracts is a no in disguise. A no that leaves you breathing is a yes to coherence. Trust the textures. They save time you used to spend untangling knots you tied under pressure. Scale test. Apply these adjustments first where the stakes are small. Decline a meeting with an honest sentence. Ask for a beat before offering advice. Say, I need a night to consider, and mean it. Small places teach the nervous system that clarity is safe. Later, when the wave is taller, the pathway is familiar. You will not need courage every time. You will need rhythm. People sometimes hear surrender and think collapse. Collapse is absence of tone. Surrender is precise tone without strain. It sounds like, this is what I can carry cleanly today. This is where I place it. This is where I wait. The field roots around that clarity with respect. You are not quitting. You are choosing the geometry that holds. There is a difference between pain that refines and pain that warns. Refining pain has edges but moves. Warning pain freezes and shrinks your map. If after the 3 anchors you still cannot find breath, shift from insight to safety. Eat, hydrate, sit in sunlight, call someone who steadies you. Coherence is not earned by enduring harm. It is built by protecting the instrument that carries the tone. Orchestration cue. As you practice, you will notice delays that used to enrage. You begin to reveal usefulness. The train you miss puts you on a bench with the exact book you needed. The invoice that lingers surfaces a hidden assumption in your pricing. The pause becomes part of the choreography rather than a break in the music. You are not romanticizing inconvenience. You are reading the arrangement for what it shows you. The mind will still ask for fireworks. You can smile at that and return to precision. Fireworks saturate the sky, then disappear. Precision changes the floor you stand on. The kiln cools. The piece rings when tapped. That ring is your new baseline. Resonant, durable, ready to be used. Let this be your promise to yourself when the next wave rises. Do not measure your worth by whether it hurts. Measure your stewardship by how cleanly you carry the next inch. 1 breath, 1 adjustment, 1 honest sentence. Then repeat. Calibration through contrast will do the rest. It always has. Reaction is a reflex. Synchronization is a choice. The space between them is small and trainable, and it lives inside your day, not in grand retreats. In the way you stand at the sink, in the way you pick up a call, in the way you end a meeting without empty apologies. You are not trying to become unreactive. You are building a rhythm that catches the spark before it leaps to the curtains. Rhythm turns turbulence into data. Data turns into direction. Shift lens. Think of a metronome. Tick, tock, same pace no matter what noise enters the room. Your nervous system owns a metronome. Most people never set it on the desk. They let the loudest sound set tempo. You will not. You will set your own pace, and you will return to it often enough that the room forgets there was any other. That is synchronization. You align your internal pulse with the deeper current and let the rest tune to you or drop away. From push to pulse, build a simple scaffold for the day. 4 docks where your system moors for 60 seconds at a time. Morning, midday, late afternoon, pre-sleep. At each dock, you run the same 3-step micro-sequence. 1. Posture. 2. Breath. 3. Micro-intention. You do not negotiate with it, you execute it. It is short by design, so you will keep it when you are tired. Dock sequence. Posture. Breath. Intention. Posture. Stand or sit tall enough that the back of your heart has air. Roll the shoulders down and back once. Let the jaw soften. Breath. In through the nose for 4. Pause for 1. Out through the mouth for 6. Repeat 4 times. Micro-intention. 1 line in plain words, spoken softly or inside your mouth. Hold a steady tone, or clarity over speed, or be kind without bending. No poetry, clean function. Do this and watch what happens to your edges. The habit does not erase stress. It changes how stress lands. Reaction drops by half because you have a pattern ready that the body trusts. Trust means faster, switching to signal, diagnostic to directive. Between docks, use micro-pauses, not to stall, but to choose. A micro-pause is 2 seconds long. It has 4 parts. 1. Name the move you are about to make. Reply. Buy. Accept. 2. Scan for 1 sensation. Jaw tight. Chest open. Stomach quiet. 3. If the sensation says, proceed, proceed. If not, adjust 1 variable: timing, tone, or scope before acting. 4. Make the move cleanly. That 2-second check saves you hours of repair later. It keeps you in synchronization with yourself rather than with pressure. Field note: posture is not cosmetic. It is an antenna setting. When you fold forward, the map shrinks. The head outruns the heart. Options narrow. When you sit with the sternum relaxed and the backline available, the map widens. Data arrives. Options multiply. Executives pay coaches to teach what your grandparents said in 1 sentence. Sit up. It works because the field routes through geometry. Return to body. Hands tell on us. White knuckles on a mug. Pen death grip. Phone welded to palm. If your fingers clamp, the system is bracing. Loosen the grip by 1 degree and watch your thoughts follow. A relaxed hand writes kinder emails. A hand that rests on a table before speaking shortens meetings without force. Texture check. Synchronization has a feel. It is not bliss, it is smoothness. Even when the content is hard, the movement is ungritty. Start collecting small proofs. The argument that used to escalate now resolves in 4 sentences. The commute that used to feel jagged feels neutral. The creative block that lingered all week cracks after a walk. Keep a brief log of these proofs for 7 days, 1 line each. The brain learns from evidence. Evidence trains belief. Belief trains behavior. Scale test. Practice on low-stakes turbulence first. The kettle that shrieks as you write. The update request that arrives at closing time. The calendar double book. Run the doc sequence. Use a micropause. Adjust 1 variable. Notice resolution speed. Then bring the same rhythm to higher stakes moments. Pitch, diagnosis, goodbye. The rhythm does not change, only the volume of the scene. Orchestration cue, synchronization changes timing. Emails meet you when you breathe before hitting send. The answer you were forcing arrives in the shower because water moves you into pulse. The stranger offers the exact sentence you needed because your edges were soft enough to hear it. Do not name it fate every time. Name it good logistics. Systems work when the operator stops flooding the panel. From reaction to synchronization is also a language shift. You will hear yourself replace "I must" with "it serves to." Replace "I have to be fast" with "I will be precise." Replace "I hope they approve" with "I will hold alignment." This is not empty affirmation. It is syntax that tells your body what job to do. Reactions run on threat grammar. Synchronization runs on stewardship grammar. Language is a lever, a note on speed. Speed is not the enemy. Jerky speed is. Smooth speed makes fewer errors and recovers faster when it does. If you need to move quickly, shorten the sentence, not the breath. Speak 1 clause at a time. Email 1 idea per paragraph. Cut scope, not care. This preserves tone while meeting the clock. You will fail at this some hours. Good. Failure throws you a rope to climb back to rhythm. Use the next dock. Touch the sequence. Let the body feel the relief of being reclaimed. That relief becomes loyalty. The body learns that you will return for it, so it stops screaming to get your attention. Over time, synchronization changes identity. You stop seeing yourself as the person who reacts well under fire. You become the person who sets the tempo that prevents most fires. The field trusts tempos that waste less fuel. It routes more through them. That is how small proofs scale. They compound into presence. Presence edits rooms. Rooms shape outcomes. Outcomes accumulate into a life that feels engineered rather than improvised. Keep it simple. 4 docs, 2-second checks, 1 clean line intentions, posture that breathes, language that stewards, a handful of proofs written down. The rest will arrange itself around the tone you keep, not because of magic, because systems prefer rhythm. Be the rhythm. Creation at this stage stops feeling like a hunt. It becomes tuning. You are not chasing outcomes through volume and force. You are shaping the environment inside your skin until the outer environment has no argument left. That is resonance, not spectacle. Physics with manners. Emotion sets the electric tone. Intention sets the magnetic vector. Together, they tell matter which way to face and how fast to come closer. Shift lens. Replace the poster of "visualize harder" with a cleaner diagram. 2 dials, 1 labeled tone, 1 labeled vector. Tone is how your body hums through the day, not a mood, a baseline. Calm can be a tone. Warm too. Precise, grateful, clear. Vector is what you are aiming at and how narrow that aim is. A life where my work and health are not competitors is a vector. This exact person must text me by noon is not a vector. That is a demand with panic baked in. From push to pulse, pushing treats reality like a door to kick. Pulse treats it like water to shape. Water obeys form. Give it a steady channel, and it runs that way on its own. Resonance is channel making. You set a tone that your system can keep, and an intention broad enough to allow orchestration. Then you behave as if that is already the climate. Behavior is the hard proof the field respects. Ordinary repeatables make this real. You can test resonance without candles or chants. Use 3 scenes you already live. Scene 1, the inbox. Old way. You open, see heat, flood with urgency, and try to clear it all, broadcasting scarcity in every reply. Resonant way. You set tone before you set cursor. 2 breaths, shoulders down. Choose a vector for this block. Close loops that free tomorrow's morning. Then you reply from that climate. Short, kind, decisive, no apologetic paragraphs. The inbox reflects the tone. Threads end sooner. Requests arrive cleaner next week. Same tool, new tide. Scene 2, the grocery line. Old way, boredom, scroll, ambient impatience. Resonant way, stand with your weight in your heels and soften your hands. Let the eyes rest. Bring up 1 line of intention. Be easy to stand near. That tone shifts your micro movements. People stop bumping you. The clerk looks up. Small? Yes. But these are the tiles that pave the bigger outcomes. The field does not separate sacred from mundane. It reads the broadcast. Scene 3. Creative work. Old way. Wrestle the page for brilliance. Compare. Abrade. Resonant way. Pick a tone that makes making probable. Sober joy. Play with edges. Then set vector not as finish line, but as shape. Draft that speaks simply to 1 person. Now you work shorter stretches, more often. You stop mid-flow on purpose to teach your system that creativity is safe to revisit. Output rises without the hangover of force. Diagnostic to directive. When a result stalls, do not add willpower first. Check the dials. Tone low. Raise it a degree through body adjustments, not pep talks. Vector too narrow or too vague. Widen or sharpen until it feels like a lane, not a lasso. If you still feel drag, reduce scope. Ask for the smallest piece that proves alignment. The field respects incremental coherence. It distrusts flares. Texture check. Resonance feels friction. Light, not friction-free. You still meet complexity. You simply do not sand against the grain as often. A resonant yes is quiet. A push, yes, is buzzy. A resonant no is clean. A push, no leaves residue. Track residues. They tell you where you forced what would have flowed with a different tone or aim. Return to body. Emotion as electric tone is not a thought. It is conductivity. Hydrated tissue carries it better. Sleep stabilizes it. Protein and greens help it hold shape. Walks reset it. Delay caffeine until your tone sets itself, and you will notice less jolt and more glide. None of this is moral. It is engineering. You are building an instrument that keeps pitch. Language helps the vector. Speak aim in verbs and qualities rather than nouns and monuments. Serve 10 clients with clarity and fairness this quarter. Outperforms, hit a number by any means. The first invites orchestration. The second invites distortion. Precision without panic is the sweet spot. The field hears the difference, like a dog hears frequencies you miss. Orchestration cue. When tone and vector agree, logistics behave like polite birds. Flights land on time. Introductions cross paths with the day you felt ready. The check clears when the rent is due. Do not make a religion of timing. Nod at its neatness and return to the dials. The dials remain yours. A word on gratitude. Performative gratitude is noise. Functional gratitude is a stabilizer. You can feel the difference. One tries to summon favor. The other names what is working to keep the system open. Use the second. 3 things, said plainly at night. My neighbor's hello. The body finished a run. The email that closed a loop. It keeps the tone from collapsing into scarcity while you sleep. Scale test. Pilot resonance on choices with short feedback loops. Cooking. Scheduling, money for small expenses. If the tone stays clean and the vector is humane, the outcome will confirm it quickly. Let those confirmations build confidence. Then apply the same method to longer arcs. Training, hiring, moving, partnering. The physics do not change, only the patience does. You will still drift into push. Everyone does when they are tired or afraid. The remedy is not shame, it is refit. Lower ambition for one day. Widen time. Do the next exact move you can carry without grind. The win is not the outcome. The win is staying resonant long enough to let outcomes collect. Resonance looks quiet from the outside. It feels sane from the inside. That is how you know you are doing it. You do less show, more signal, less command, more invitation, less clench, more conduction. Keep turning the 2 dials. Tone, vector, repeat. The room will start to move on its own. What many call a download is often something simpler and more reliable. Pattern recognition landing all at once. Your system gathers faint signals for days, then clicks them into a single shape. It feels sudden because the assembly happens below the chatter. When it rises, you get a whole answer rather than scattered notes. This is not magic. It is time geometry. You step out of the straight line long enough for pieces from different moments to meet. Shift lens. Picture a table where threads from yesterday, last winter, and 10 minutes ago are all within reach. In linear time, you sort them one by one. In field time, you lift them together and see the weave. The sensation is familiar, an exhale, a widening, a sentence that writes itself with fewer edits. You did not force it. You let the room of time rearrange, from push to pulse. Rather than begging for answers, learn to ask questions that return as complete forms. Fragmented questions yield fragments. Coherent questions return coherence. Begin with 3 rules. 1. Ask fewer, better questions. 2. Place them into the field with a body that can receive. 3. Leave enough silence that shape can form. Framework. Shape returning questions. Rule 1. Precision. Name the function, not the fantasy. Instead of, how do I become extraordinary? Ask, what is the smallest stable move that improves today's throughput without cost to health? Precision tells the field where to land. Rule 2. Constraints. Add gentle boundaries. Within my current budget and attention, without harming trust. Constraints are creative fences. They help the answer keep its edges. Rule 3. Testability. Phrase it so you can try it within 48 hours. If you cannot test it soon, you are likely asking for a monument when you need a brick. Diagnostic to directive. Once you have a shape, question, deliver it with your body aligned. Posture that gives the back of the heart air. a breath cadence you can keep, a brief line spoken aloud or under the tongue. Then stop asking. Go do something. Rhythmic walk, sweep, shower, drive. Repetitive motion quiets noise long enough for the shape to climb. Keep a capture tool within reach. The first lines arrive fast and leave if you chase them. Field note: many miss answers because they expect a trumpet blast. What arrives is a map edge, a phrase, a felt diagram. Respect the small packet. Write it down as it appears, not as you wish it sounded. The rest of the shape will attach when you start moving. Movement is an invitation. Return to body. Insight is state dependent. Caffeine spikes can fake clarity and then crash it. Screens splinter attention into static. If you want whole answers, create whole conditions. Try low-stim mornings twice a week. No feeds for the first hour. Light, water, 5 minutes of gaze at horizon. Then your single best question. This is not an ideology. It is a lab protocol. You are building a receiver that holds signal long enough to render a complete image. Time geometry shows up in how memory behaves when you are coherent. Past scenes become data, not traps. Future scenes feel like coordinates, not demands. Practice 2-angle recall to train this. Pick one old event that still tugs at your attention. Angle 1, what did it cost me then? Angle 2, what capacity did it build that I use now? Naming both angles edits the file. The charge drops, the pattern remains. Now it can serve, not steer. Texture check. Whole answers feel quiet and obvious in the body, not dull, obvious like a key sliding into the right lock. When an answer dazzles and jitters, it is usually a hope dressed in neon. Set it aside for an hour. If it still fits with the same smoothness, proceed. If it wilts, you dodged a repair. Orchestration cue. Non-local insight often arrives through people and timing rather than inner fireworks. You hear a stranger repeat your question in a different language. A headline phrases your next step without context. A mentor cancels, and in the empty hour the solution lands. Do not force meaning on every coincidence, but when 3 separate channels hum the same note, consider it a routing decision. Take the step that requires the least force and the most honesty. Scale test. Apply shape, questions to small problems first. What sequence makes this morning's work lighter and more accurate? If the answer comes as a picture, move the meeting, write the outline longhand, walk while dictating, test it today, log the result in one line. The brain learns to trust non-local delivery by seeing its accuracy in small arenas. Accuracy builds loyalty. Loyalty keeps you from grabbing at noise when stakes rise. Language matters here. Avoid vague verbs when you ask. Use actions the body recognizes. Draft, call, decline, price, rest. Clarity in verbs yields clarity in answers. Also, avoid absolutes. Always, never. Absolutes invite the mind to debate. The field prefers instructions. It can execute this afternoon. If you meet silence, widen your window. Some shapes need more material. Feed the system responsibly. Read one page from a clean source. Ask one person for a fact, not an opinion. Visit a place that shifts your posture, a library, a park, a studio. Then release it again. Answers chase open space. You will still misread signals. Everyone does. The fix is simple. When an answer fails the test, do not declare yourself broken. Adjust the question and the state, then reissue. Précision beat drama. You are not divining fate. You are improving a receiver and learning the grammar of the field. Eventually, you will trust the feeling of a complete shape arriving. It will not feel like winning. It will feel like alignment. The sentence ends itself. The meeting finds its 3 beats. The design stops arguing with itself. This is access without mystique. Repeatable, teachable, practical. You asked a question the field could answer. Then you stayed coherent long enough to hear it. Keep your requests honest. Keep your body available. Keep your tests small enough to run this week. When the shape comes, do not stall to decorate it. Act. The next piece is waiting for the space your action will clear. Choice used to mean debate, lists, angles, a courtroom in your head where every option argued its case. That method can work, but it burns fuel and often rewards the loudest fear. Probability navigation uses a different instrument. You read the texture of options. You feel for smoothness versus drag. You pick the path whose physics require less correction to stay coherent. It is not magical thinking. It is load management for timelines. Shift lens. Imagine each option as a lane with its own friction pattern. One lane feels gritty at the start and then evens out. Another feels silky early and then snags every mile. Old you chose by plot. New you chooses by texture. Texture includes how your jaw sits when you picture the next week. It includes how sleep behaves the night after you commit. It includes how many reach-outs you must force for it to move. This is data, quiet but precise. From push to pulse, replace the pros-cons spreadsheet with a short sensory scan. Ask 4 questions. 1. Does this path widen or narrow breath? Check your ribs as you imagine. Day 2, not day 1. 2. What speed does it invite without strain? Fast with smoothness is a good sign. Jerky fast is not. 3. How many external approvals must align before the first honest inch can move? Fewer approvals mean cleaner physics. 4. If it fails, does it still leave me more coherent than I began? A good lane refines you even when the outcome shifts. Run this scan, and you will feel a ranking that no argument can fake. Follow the highest smoothness you can ethically choose. Diagnostic to directive. When 2 lanes tie, shorten the horizon. Decide for 7 days only. Give yourself a clean exit clause and take the path that lets you run a real test with real stakes. Timelines reveal their nature when lived, not simulated. If after 7 days the lane still feels like sandpaper in the lungs, do not demand loyalty from yourself. Exit with care. That is timeline hygiene. Timeline hygiene is the discipline of keeping your lanes clear of residue. 3 rules. Keep entries clean. Make maintenance light. Make exits gentle. Clean entries. Do not promise ornate deliverables you cannot carry. Name the first proof and secure that. I will deliver a draft. I will pilot 2 sessions. This keeps the lane narrow until it proves itself. Light maintenance. Build recurring check-ins that take 5 minutes, not 50. Are you calmer? Is the work getting simpler? Are allies arriving without chase? If not, adjust the angle or the scope. Gentle exits. Depart with 1 honest sentence and 1 fair exchange. No smoke bombs. No disappearing. Leave the door as you wish. Others would leave yours. Hygiene preserves signal. Signal preserves options. Texture check. Smooth does not mean easy. It means fewer micro-arguments with yourself. You still do the hard thing. You do not have to fight your own legs while doing it. Drag feels like tiny negotiations that never end. Just 1 more email. 1 more tweak. They will understand if smoothness sounds like, do this, then this. A short line of steps that holds. Return to body. Sense each lane with posture rather than opinion. Stand. Look to the left for lane A, then to the right for lane B. Notice the micro shift in your spine and breath for each. The body tells the truth faster than the narrative does. If both feel the same in the body, pick the one that gives more learning per day. Learning compounds, hype does not. Orchestration cue. Aligned lanes pull allies. You will see how one path keeps placing skilled people beside you. Another path leaves you begging for attention. Choose the lane that attracts artisans of care. Their presence is evidence of a clean signal. You are not outsourcing intuition. You are measuring the field's response to your state. Scale test. Practice probability navigation on short loops first. Which train car, which meeting order, which task to begin at 9 a.m. Track the result in 1 line. Started with outreach. Afternoon had more space. 7 days of small wins educate your nervous system. Then bring the same method to larger arcs. A project, a move, a partnership. The physics do not change at scale. Only the stakes do. Language shift helps you hold the lane once chosen. Say, I am running a 7-day test. Not, this must succeed. Say, I will choose the least corrective path. Not, I will find the perfect path. Perfection macerates tone. Least corrective keeps you honest. It frees you to observe rather than perform. A word on risk. Coherent risk is not blind. It is measured. You do not jump because someone said bravery is a virtue. You jump when the texture says the air will hold you and you can shape the fall. If funds are thin, risk with time and creativity before you risk with rent. If energy is thin, risk with honesty before you risk with hours. Clean risk invites support. Dirty risk attracts rescue, which is expensive for everyone. If you are prone to overthinking, set a clock. Give yourself 10 minutes to feel the lanes, then choose. If you are prone to impulse, add a buffer. Sleep once on it. Let the body reset, then check texture again. Probability navigation respects your pattern and offers a counterweight, not a cage. You will misread lanes. Good. Misreadings are part of the map. When drag appears after a bright start, note the moment drag began. Was it a new variable, a boundary you skipped, a tone you dropped? Fix what is yours. If drag remains, exit cleanly. The point is not loyalty to a choice. It is loyalty to coherence while choosing. Over time, this becomes identity. You stop asking, what should I do? You start asking, which lane makes coherence less expensive? Then you take it and pay an attention, not adrenaline. Outcomes improve. Repair costs fall. Peace increases. That is probability navigation working. It is not dramatic. It is durable. The field favors durable. Keep your scans short. Keep your tests real. Keep your exits kind. The path will tell you the truth if you are quiet enough to hear it and steady enough to act on it. Let texture lead. Relationships are not trophies or trials, they are routing. The field pairs frequencies to move, work, healing, and ideas where they can be carried with the least distortion. When your signal cleans, your circle changes, not because you are better, but because a different choreography becomes possible. Integrity is the magnet. Orchestration is the music. Your job is tone and timing. Shift lens. Think of connection as a set of living algorithms. They do not care much about story. They care about fit, load, and purpose. Two signals meet. If they amplify clarity in both systems, they stay paired for a season. If they create static, the algorithm releases them. Drama begins when we argue with the release. Coherence begins when we let the pairing serve its function and then let it move. From push to pulse, stop recruiting with performance. Stop clinging with fear. Start broadcasting with congruence. When your actions match your words over time, the right people hear you as safe to build with. Not safe as in agreeable, safe as in trustworthy under pressure. That is the rare currency. It pulls artisans of care, not spectators. Integrity is not ornate. It is a handful of behaviors repeated. You keep promises you can carry. You decline when you cannot. You repair quickly when you miss. You tell the clean truth without edge. You do not spend other people's time to solve your delay. This collapses the distance between expectation and experience. Distance breeds resentment. Precision breeds trust. Orchestration cue. When your tone is steady, introductions begin to time themselves. A mentor appears the week you finally stop resenting feedback. A collaborator arrives the day you define scope clearly. A friend exits when your growth threatens the bond that relied on complaint. Do not make villains or saints. Make room. The field is optimizing routes. Return to body. Before you enter a room, set your instrument. 1 minute is enough. Soften the jaw. Let the eyes find a far point. Inhale 4, pause 1, exhale 6. Then choose one functional intention. Stabilize the space. Listen for the actual question. Offer the next honest inch. Carry that tone through the door. It changes how chairs scrape and how voices stack. People may not name it. They will use it. Texture check. Coherence in connection feels efficient, not performative. Meetings resolve faster. Silence is not a threat. You part ways without poison when the work is done. Misattunement feels like small unpayable debts. Vague laters, compliments that taste like sugar on cardboard. If the texture turns sticky, do a hygiene check. Are you withholding a boundary? Floating a hope as a plan? Trying to win safety instead of making clarity? Fix what is yours. If the stickiness remains, exit with care. Exits are choreography, not failure. Practice leaving as an artisan. Name what was built. Name what changed. Offer a fair exchange if one is due. Do not recruit witnesses. Do not smear. Do not ghost. Ghosting teaches your nervous system cowardice. Clean exits increase future bandwidth because you do not have to carry secret threads. The field routes through uncluttered maps, diagnostic to directive. When a conflict rises, resist rehearsal. Rehearsal burns clarity and writes scripts you will abandon in the first minute. Use the 2 lines protocol. Line 1. State the shared aim you are still willing to serve. We both want the project clean by month's end. Line 2. State the boundary or request. I need a single point of contact to keep signal clear. Then stop. Let the room breathe. Next steps emerge from a simpler place. You can always add detail later. You cannot unsay a performance. Scale test. Practice orchestration on low-stakes ties. The neighbor, the barista, the colleague you only email. Offer micro-precision. Thank you for the extra minute. I will send the file by noon. If I miss, I will tell you at 11. Notice what happens to trust. Then bring the same tone to collaborations that matter. Reputation in this frame is not what people say when you leave. It is how clean their body felt while you were there. Language that stabilizes connections sounds like this. Here is what I can do cleanly. Here is what I cannot do without cost. Here is where I need a decision. Here is what would make this smoother for both. Short, specific, measurable. It replaces pleading with engineering. It invites adult responses or reveals where none are available. Either way, it saves time. A note on charisma. Charisma can gather a crowd. Coherence builds a crew. Crowds consume tone. Crews multiply it. The field prefers crews for anything that must last. If you find yourself collecting admirers, ask whether you are performing instead of partnering. Ask whether you are tolerating orbiters because attention is easier than intimacy. Intimacy in this frame means 2 signals that can tell each other the truth without breaking. Mentors and students are also roots, not altars. A good mentor makes themselves less necessary by increasing your coherence, not your dependence. A good student brings back results, not worship. If either dynamic becomes sticky with need, pause and reset terms. Here is the next assignment. Here is the fee. Here is where we pause until you have proof. Clean terms are kindness. Orchestration includes absence. Some seasons ask you to be less social so capacity can widen. Some ask you to host so others can stabilize. Listen for the call. If you have been hiding, accept more tables. If you have been performing, reduce noise. The right people can only find your signal if you emit it honestly. The wrong people will lose interest when you do. Finally, enter rooms as a stabilizer, not a savior. Savior energy overheats. Stabilizer energy cools and clarifies. Walk in with a slow breath and a working spine. Offer the next exact inch. Ask the question that reduces static. Decline the role you cannot carry cleanly. Leave the space better than you found it, even if better only means quieter. Over time, this becomes your social gravity. You will not need to chase. Roots will find you because coherence is efficient and the world is hungry for it. Partnerships will click into place with less negotiation and more craft. Departures will be gentler, the drama budget will shrink, the work will get cleaner. That is relationship orchestration working. It is not glamorous, it is merciful. It keeps everyone's signal clear enough to do what they came to do. Things collapse for 2 main reasons. The form finished its job, or the form could not carry the load. Either way, the fall is a refinement, not an indictment. Structures you outgrew begin to wobble. Systems you once called safety reveal their cost. The instinct is to brace, patch, and pretend. The practice is to conduct the exit with care. You are not abandoning your life. You are shepherding energy out of a container that no longer fits. Shift lens. Think of a bridge scheduled for replacement. Engineers do not wait for a storm to rip it loose. They reroute traffic, remove weight, and dismantle with sequence. You can do the same with a project, a role, a habit. Scarcity says, if I let this go, I will be empty. Circulation says, when I move this cleanly, capacity returns. Scarcity clutches. Circulation breathes. Breath is the difference between panic and precision. Begin with inventory that honors function. Name what the collapsing form gave you. Skills, allies, proof. Then name what it now costs. Sleep, trust, range. Write it in 2 short columns. When the cost column is heavier and stable over weeks, the signal is clear. You do not need a sign from the sky. You need a plan that preserves coherence while you exit. From push to pulse, set a tempo for the exit. Fast enough to prevent rot, slow enough to spare joints. 3 phases: reduce, reveal, release. Reduce. Narrow scope immediately. Finish what you can, finish cleanly. Cancel what no longer belongs. Replace ornate apologies with precise sentences. This commitment exceeds my capacity. I can deliver X by Y, then I will step back. That sentence is a scalpel. It bleeds less than a flurry of excuses. Reveal. Tell the truth to stakeholders at the right altitude. No villain monologues, no martyrdom, just terms. Here's what changed. Here's what I can still carry. Here's how to transition. Offer a handoff where possible. Offer documentation where useful. Do not offer your nervous system as a forever safety net. Release. Create a ritual that tells your body the exit happened. Small is fine. Return keys. Archive the folder. Delete the recurring calendar. Walk the long block while naming what stays with you. The body needs punctuation. Without it, you'll keep rehearsing arguments with ghosts. Authority that whispers looks like this. You do not over-explain. You set the geometry and hold it. You choose sentences that fit in one breath. You meet heat with cooler tempo. You grant other people dignity on the way out. Loud authority tries to drown doubt. Quiet authority trusts proof. Proof is your state when you sleep after the call. Diagnostic to directive. When collapse triggers the rescue reflex. Pause. Ask, what am I buying if I save this? Often it is delay, not solution. Ask, what am I protecting if I do not save this? Often it is tone. Protect tone. Let structure change. Tone steers the rebuild. Return to body. Watch your hands. If you find yourself bargaining at the keyboard, palms sweat, shoulders climb. Stand, open the fingers, roll the shoulders back and down. Exhale long enough to feel the belly move. Then write the clean line. Posture tells the nervous system that you can leave without losing yourself. Texture check. A graceful exit feels like a firm click followed by space, not bliss, space. If you feel sticky after the conversation, ruminating, composing imaginary replies, there may be one boundary left unsaid or one item not returned. Do the last inch. Stickiness dissolves when loops close. Orchestration cue. Clean exits create openings that orchestration fills fast. In the days after a hard departure, pay attention to what arrives. A colleague suggests the exact tool you needed. A client with better fit appears. Time expands exactly where you were starving for it. Do not rush to fill all the space. Let one day remain wide. The field loves edges with room. It sends better roots through them. Humility, power paradox. Power that lasts is not grand. It is accurate under pressure. Humility is not self-disgust. It is right-sizing. You can say, I misjudged scope, and still walk tall. You can say, I no longer fit this role, and still be a steady hire. People remember how clean the exit felt more than why it happened. Your reputation is the residue you leave in bodies, not the story you post. Convert scarcity reflex into circulation with a simple practice. Each time you release a form, circulate a small resource to match. Time, money, knowledge. Donate an hour of mentorship. Share your notes with the next person. Pay the last invoice early. The nervous system learns that letting go does not equal loss, it equals movement. Movement keeps trust with the field. The field routes toward what moves. Scale test. Start with a small collapse you can conduct this week. A commitment you keep rescheduling. A subscription you do not use. A meeting that should be an email. Run, reduce, reveal, release. Watch how much compression lifts. Then apply the same protocol to a larger structure, a contract, a title, a habit tied to identity. The physics are stable, only the trembling is louder. Use the same breath, language that steadies exits. I am stepping back after this delivery. To keep quality, I need to narrow to X. I cannot continue in this configuration. Here is a clean transition. Short, kind, undramatic. It will feel bare at first, It is medicine. It tells your system you are the adult in the room. In time, you will notice collapse less as a shock and more as a scheduling note. This bridge ends here. The new span starts there. You will move people across without sirens. You will stop mortgaging future energy to guard past structures. You will spend your days building forms that can carry what you actually are now, not what you used to be. Let things end well. Leave rooms with air. Shake hands where you can. Bless silently when you cannot. The way you exit is the way you will be met next. Conduct the close like a craft. The field is watching, not to judge, but to root. When you exit cleanly, the next door already has a hand on the knob. Sovereignty at this stage is not a crown. It is a posture you keep while washing a cup. It is not dramatic. It is deliberate. You are not the storm. You are the harbor. The mark of it is how ordinary your days look and how engineered they feel from the inside. The sacred arrives not as glitter. It arrives as ease inside tasks that once felt like combat. You move with less noise and more range. You no longer beg time to obey. You shape time by managing energy first. Shift lens. Time is a field that flexes around state. Scattered state compresses the day into a tight corridor. Grounded state stretches the corridor until air returns. You have felt it. 10 precise minutes replace a lost hour. A clean yes saves 3 follow-ups. A kind no protects a week. This is not productivity theater. It is physics in plain clothes. You are learning to make time by removing friction, not by demanding speed. From push to pulse, structure your hours with climate, not clutter. 1 climate per block. You do not mix work that heats the system with work that cools it. Writing with finances, negotiations with design. Pick 1 climate and set your tone for it. Steady for logistics, curious for craft, warm for care. Then select the smallest proof that belongs to that climate. Do it cleanly. Stop. Reset tone. Enter the next climate or rest if the instrument needs it. This rotation keeps coherence intact. Coherence keeps time elastic. Return to body. Sovereignty is local. Before you open the calendar, open your stance. Let the back of the heart have air. Unhook the tongue. Breathe until the belly moves. Then mark your day with 3 moves, and 3 only. 1 that stabilizes income. 1 that invests in growth. 1 that returns energy to the instrument. If a task does not fit those lanes, it waits. You are no longer a landfill for other people's urgency. You are an airport with slots. Landings are scheduled, diagnostic to directive. When pressure spikes, do not chase the largest fire. Protect tone first. Run a 90-second reset. Stand. Look at the farthest object you can see. Exhale long. Name your next move in 6 words or fewer. Call client. Reset scope. Offer terms. Then act. The field routes support toward clear operators. Clear operators start small and complete. Language is a lever you now use on purpose. You replace apologies with updates. You replace hope with terms. You replace promises with proofs. I can deliver this draft by noon. I will need a decision to proceed. Here is the cost of adding that scope. These sentences feel spare at first. They are. Spare sentences carry farther than ornate ones because they do not snag on emotion. They preserve signal. Orchestration cue. Leadership without announcement becomes your baseline. You walk into rooms and the temperature lowers without speeches. You read what the group cannot say yet and ask the one exact question that lets them say it. You end meetings when the work is done, not when the hour ends. People debrief afterward and use the word relieved without knowing why. They were inside coherence. Their bodies remember. Texture check. Embodied sovereignty feels like a smooth floor, not a throne. You notice the absence of scrabbling. You notice how rarely you repeat yourself. You notice the difference between the tired that comes from strain and the satisfied fatigue that comes from earned effort. You still tire. You do not fray. Fray was the cost of operating from fear. You have traded it for precision. Scale test. Apply this state to the most mundane corners first. Inbox, laundry, commute. Set a tone and a vector for each. Close loops calmly for 60 minutes. Restore order with music and water. Arrive rested, not rushed. Watch how quickly the outer world mirrors the inner pace. Then extend to larger arcs. a quarter's strategy, a restructuring, a move. The physics hold because you are not relying on adrenaline. You are relying on rhythm. Sovereignty does not isolate you. It makes you easier to join. People know where to stand with you because you stand somewhere. You publish your terms by how you live. You do not audition for acceptance. You create alignment or you don't, and both are allowed. When misalignment appears, you do not punish or persuade. You adjust or you exit. Your signal does the rest. Money changes texture here. It stops being score and becomes circulation. You spend on instruments that keep tone clean, food that conducts, tools that last, rest that multiplies. You price according to the cost of coherence, not the drama of scarcity. You do not discount your state to buy approval. You do not inflate to buy awe. You state the work, the value, and the boundary. You hold the line. Respect follows precision more often than charm. You will still meet chaos. Sovereignty is not immunity. It is response architecture. When the unexpected knocks, you do not sprint at the door. You check the peephole. You decide if it enters and where it sits. You do not let it into the bedroom when it belongs in the foyer. Rooms are boundaries. Boundaries are kindness in 3 dimensions. Let your home, digital and physical, tell the same story. Fewer tabs, fewer piles, folders named for function. A calendar that reflects energy cycles, not only obligations. A phone that sleeps outside the room where you mend. These are not lifestyle ornaments. They are load-bearing choices that keep your instrument in tune. The field notices tidy maps. It routes more through them. The quieter you get, the wider your reach becomes. Not because silence is special, but because noise was expensive. You reclaim that budget and spend it on care and craft. You leave rooms with more oxygen than you found. You speak when speech clarifies and end when silence does more. You became what you sought, a clean channel, not above life, inside it, level with the ground and steady enough to carry. Keep this simple pledge where you can see it. Protect tone, prefer rhythm, prize clarity, practice closing loops, place kindness in the geometry, and let outcomes assemble around your state. You do not have to be spectacular. You have to be consistent. Spectacle fades. Consistency builds a coastline others can navigate by in storm and calm. That is leadership without announcement. That is sovereignty without theater. That is the infrastructure you are now. Set the pace down now. Let the breath widen. You do not have to hold anything clever in this moment. You do not have to prove the path you just walked. The work is already inside you. What remains is a gentle ceiling so your system knows the journey is safe to keep. For the next 72 hours, try one quiet experiment. Choose a single phrase that keeps your tone honest and repeat it at the edges of the day. On waking, place a hand on your ribs and say, steady and kind. Before sleep, clear and enough. No performance, only placement. Let the words soften your jaw and slow your breath. If you forget, begin again. Rhythm forgives. Keep your attention small and kind. Drink water before screens. Stand in a doorway and give your backline air. Write one clean sentence that closes a loop you have carried too long. Send one note that thanks someone without asking for anything. 5 minutes outdoors if the sky will have you. If not, a window. Horizons teach the eyes to relax. Relaxed eyes calm the room behind them. When choices rise, listen for texture. Smooth does not mean easy. It means fewer small arguments with yourself. Choose the option that lets you breathe while you build. If you notice drag, reduce scope and try again. You are not late. You are learning the instrument you live in. Every gentle correction is progress. Let departures stay graceful. Bless what helped and lay it down. Make space where the old waits Saturday. Do not rush to fill it. Rooms breathe when we let them. So do lives. If you want a soft way to continue, keep a 7-line log this week. 1 line per day. I protected tone here. I exited cleanly there. I asked a better question. No judgment, just proof. Proof trains belief. Belief trains behavior. Behavior builds the quiet authority you came for. You crossed the threshold by becoming consistent in private. Keep that agreement. The field will carry the rest.